I'm live, apparently. Right, so this is a bit of an experiment. It might be a bit noisy. I'll just faff around for a minute to see if anybody's going to join us, because I think I might be a little bit early. I've got to be so careful. This phone is balanced on a bookshelf because I forgot my... I'm being really careful opening my laptop because I forgot my tripod. So 3 minutes, we're going to go live in 3 minutes before I start answering the questions. And basically what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of questions from the original Q&A I did when I did the watch giveaway. So I'm going to answer a couple of them and then we'll open it up to a live Q&A. So I know this is not that entertaining, but we have got a couple of minutes before we start properly, so I'll just lurk around. I might even play with a deck of cards. Yes, I will. I've been working on some stuff from Pure Imagination, Andy Gladwin's book, which I'm finding really, if anybody's got it, it's really cool. Do tell me, by the way, if you can't hear me, or because I'm not sure what the internet's like. I'm in a venue in Tromsø, in Norway. So yeah, right. A couple of minutes, have a drink of water. By the way, I'm aware with this mic, by the way, that when I drink water, it sounds. Can hear just fine, Alec? Thanks, mate. I can't bear the noise drinking water makes when you've got a mic on. Hang on. Right. So 2 minutes. I don't feel like it's fair to start early. I don't know why. It's not like there's going to be 700 people waiting to to go on. See, what's really annoying is that I've found that when you're on a flight, your cards pop, don't they? So all my cards, when I've got here, have got that pop in them. And I've tried everything. You know, people have said put them in the microwave, put them in the fridge, do the freezer, everything. Nothing has worked for me. So if you've got any ideas how to remove the pop from cards, do let me know. Apparently it happens in Vegas a lot, doesn't it, with humidity? So I mean, getting a card clip. I lost both my card clips. Right. So it's 4:59. I'm in, as I said, in Tromsø in Norway. I've been doing some leadership training out here with a company. Actually, this is the people I'm working with, Bardus, which is a really lovely, kind of more fun than formal. It's fine dining, but without being boring, really. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions I got, as I said, on the giveaway. One from Daddy and Ava Ellis, which isn't that so sweet. Daddy and Ava Ellis, when people name their sort of YouTube accounts after them and their kids, which I think is lovely. They've obviously set that up. Daddy has set that up with Ava, which I think is very sweet, and the thumbnail picture was very lovely as well. So it's an interesting one. We're going to talk briefly about revealing effects. What do I think of people revealing effects on YouTube, which I think it's a really interesting subject, and it's a bit of a dilemma, I think. Well, it's not a dilemma, because I think that I don't like it. I don't think well, I was going to say I don't think there are many magicians that like it, but there are magicians that are doing it. So first of all, it's defining what is exposure. And I think that if you got it right, we are now on 5 o'clock, so we can officially start. If you just arrived, hello from Tromsø. I'm just going to talk about revealing. What do I think of revealing effects? I know I'm repeating myself, but that's the nature of a live thing when we're actually at the time we said we'd start. So, are we revealing effects to magicians, or are we revealing effects to lay people, which are two very different things, aren't they? Because revealing effects to magicians has ethical things going on, because we're revealing effects that maybe are published somewhere, by the originators, to magicians that haven't bought that. So that's one ethical thing we've got going, is that we're actually giving away someone else's stuff. We could also be giving away our own stuff, which does expose some sleights that may be classics that have been around since Erdnase. So to expose that to magicians, to me, is a slightly different thing. So if you've got an audience that you know is just magicians, and I suppose we could say that with this audience, I don't think many non-magicians are going to be tuning in to hear what a man has to say about magic or review magic tricks. You know a certain amount. So even though I don't do it, I probably haven't got much of an issue with people sharing some classic stuff on YouTube if that is in very obviously a YouTube account. And it's interesting to talk about because there are magicians that are doing that. There are very well respected and well known magicians doing that are giving away a hell of a lot on YouTube. And when I first saw that stuff, I was like, oh man, I don't know how I feel about this really. It's kind of weird. And I suppose selfishly, you know, you've got to be honest, I do have a paid online card magic course. So when I see people give away that same stuff for free, part of me kind of goes, oh, really? I don't know. There are people that straddle both audiences that seem to have lay people and magicians in audiences that are giving away a lot of stuff. And I do think that's a bit odd. I do, obviously, one of my motivations for starting the card course was seeing people give away stuff and teaching it very badly, which is another thing, which is, you know, straddles kind of ethics and values really, because if you're going to teach stuff, you've got to teach it well, because if you don't teach it well, then people are going to pick up bad habits and the ripple effect of that. So you've got to kind of, I suppose, before you're going to expose or teach anything, make sure you know your stuff and make sure you can do it in a way that you would be happy other people doing it and being honest about that. Obviously, there's a big seduction thing going on with gaining views and likes. You know, if you give away magic tricks online, you're going to get a lot of views and a lot of likes. So that's very tempting for a lot of people, and I understand that temptation. So again, unless you're deep in the magic world, it might be an easy thing for you to do. So my thought is, yes, if you've got an audience of magicians and give away stuff that's kind of out there, then that's, to me, not as bad as, definitely it's a no-no giving away someone's stuff that's published, you know, without a doubt. But then we've got, what we're probably getting to is people exposing people's stuff to lay people, or people's stuff to magicians that is published. And this is classic. I mean, if you type in a magic trick into Google, the first response is, the third word that comes up in that search is revealed, isn't it? So nest of wallets, revealed. Penn and teller trick, revealed. So that shows us how many people are doing it, or how many people are searching it. And this is, I don't think I'm on my own in saying this is not good at all, for so many reasons. First of it, you're taking someone's living that is putting that out there off of them by revealing it, I think. You're also doing something that isn't really, there's no win for anybody, I think, in lay people knowing how a magician does a trick, because I'm trying to work out, other than getting your likes and views up, how that benefits anybody. Most people I know that aren't kids are happy not knowing how a trick's done. So you really, it's a very self-driven thing to do that, because you're saying, I'm going to reveal a trick for literally just to get likes, because there's nothing else you're going to get from it. So obviously I was going to say it makes me angry, but this is the thing, right? I think what makes me the most angry is the wrong word. So it's not like I'm throwing stuff around. It's not like I'm kind of, you know, like the Hulk getting really mad. But what really boils my blood, we'll say, is when you see the guys doing the sort of comedy routine of exposing tricks. You know those two guys that one of them does a trick and the other one like hits his hand out the way, and it's really funny because they've exposed the trick. Well, the first thing is, it's not funny. Not because it's not funny, but because it's not funny. It's not done well enough to be funny. I can see how that could be funny if it was done well enough, but it's just two people repeating themselves with a greed of getting likes and doing it very badly. So I think that's, at least if it was done well, I could maybe empathize a little bit and see what they're doing, but it's kind of a cheap way to get the hits and to get the likes. So and I get, you know, you get people sending it to you going, isn't this funny? And you're kind of going, really? Is it funny? Because all they're really doing is saying, yeah, I agree, it also gives magicians a bad reputation. Yeah, so it's bad because it's not funny. It's bad because it comes from an impure place. It comes from a place of, screw everybody, we're going to do this for ourselves. And it very obviously comes from that place. So, you know, people are saying on the comments, it does, and it does make me angry. But what I'm saying is I'm not allowing it to make me angry for one very important reason. And this is something I work with a lot of people on, because anger tends, I'm going to sound like Yoda now. What was that thing you said in the Phantom Menace? Something leads to suffering, something leads to suffering, anger leads to pain, all that kind of stuff. But it's true, you know, we have to, as magicians, understand what we can and can't do something about, what we do have control over and what we don't have control over. Because anger and frustration and all those things do nothing for anybody, and they don't do anything for us. And actually, to feel angry and those negative thoughts rarely sparks anything. Now, obviously, it can spark things. You can say that revolutions have happened because of anger, and action happens. But for me, there's quite a lot of stress in my life, and I don't mean extreme stress, but you know, I'm a dad, I'm a single, I've got all this stuff going on, and I've got a finite amount of energy to put into things. And for me to put some serious anger into something, or to let it affect me, is going to affect other things. You know, there's only a certain amount of capacity we have for that. So for myself as a magician, and I'm sorry if it's a bit noisy here, that we're upstairs in a restaurant. For myself as a magician, I almost don't let myself get angry, and it makes the whole thing more palatable. So those guys, yeah, I feel that. I totally feel that. Like, you know, it really pisses me off, but I can't do anything about them. If I knew them, maybe I could talk to them. It isn't going to help commenting, hi Josh, it isn't going to help commenting and saying that I'm cross, please stop this, because they get that, they know that, and actually it just fuels the fire because they probably love it. So I do think the best way to vote is with your feet, or with your lack of clicks, or with your lack of sharing, and just let it do its job. I think we worry that exposure has more of an effect than it does as well, depending on what we do. And there's no judgment in this at all, but this is why I tend not to rely, it don't mean that I don't do them, but I try not to rely on just marketed effects. Because, yeah, exposure we're talking about, Andrew. Because if I just did marketed effects, and the thing that I'm doing only does one thing, let's say the invisible deck, and I'll do it, there's nothing wrong with the invisible deck, but if that's all I did, and I know that there's not many people that do, and it got exposed, I've got kind of nowhere to go. Whereas if I do some quite challenging sleight of hand stuff that doesn't look challenging, it's not flashy, but to me, I know that there's less chance of exposure. There's not really much they can Google there if I'm kind of improvising with a deck of cards. So it puts me in a safer place, I think, if I'm doing stuff that's harder to find. On the flip side of that, one of the tricks I love doing is the crazy man's handcuffs. And I've seen people Google that, the classic thing, at a table as I'm doing it, to find out, as I've just done it, to find out how it's done. So yes, it pisses me off, but I can't do anything about it. So I just have to go with it. The good thing about it is, even if they try and suss that trick out and learn it, most of them probably won't, because they realize it actually takes work. Hi. So that's my thoughts about exposure. Yes, it makes me angry. Yes, it makes me cross. It really boils my blood. Am I going to get really upset about it? I'm trying not to. And someone's just said, Spencer just said he's changed his repertoire based on it. And I think I have. Maybe I haven't changed it, but I'm doing things that I know that if someone learns how to do it, here's the big thing, they still can't do it. You know, and they will get it, they'll suss it out and they'll go, nah, not for me, that takes time. Josh said they can look it up and know how the trick is done, but tell them to do it themselves and they think they know. Oh, absolutely, and they can't. And you're absolutely right, Josh. They can't do it themselves. And even a self-working trick, you know, I do teach people self-working tricks every now and then. You know, if I know that they've shown me something and they've got some genuine passion, you know, I'll teach them a trick or two. And then when they come and show me something, they put the work in, and that's a different thing. So yes, it's exposure, but it's not exposure for the sake of an easy exposure. Now you could, let's go a step further and look at my card magic course. For £9.99, you can go on that for a month and you can see loads of secrets. That's some pretty boring stuff on there if you haven't genuinely got the passion. I'm not saying I'm boring, but you know, put your little finger here, count down. As soon as most lay people will get very quickly will go, hang on, this isn't for me. And I don't think I've had any lay people on there. You know, it's not. So that kind of wheedles out the way you teach it. Yeah, it takes hours of practice, and so I hope that's a little bit on that, and I hope that's been interesting. There's one more. That was from Daddy and Ava Ellis, so thanks for that. Sorry I can't read all the comments, but other people can. Magic Man says, why do you think most close-up magicians end up... this is a really interesting question. Why do most close-up magicians end up doing the same material, considering how many different tricks there are on the market? Ambitious card to wallet, Omni deck. You've seen me work, have you? Spongeball, Crazy Man's handcuffs. You were following me around last week. Chop cup. 90% of people out there working. This is a constant frustration, I say, and it is a constant frustration, right? And it's a constant frustration for me because I'm that person, right? So an example is I had a job before I came out here on Friday. I had a job on Thursday night, and I turned up and I've got, I think, 13 tables to get round in not much time. And I've got stuff in my close-up case now because of the reviews that I really love doing that maybe doesn't play quite as strong, but if I get a chance I try and work it in there. So I had Celebrity Passage there. I've got a couple of other things that I'm trying to work in. I look at that room and I go, right, I've got a few minutes on each table to create an effect. So what do? What was the list again? How to wallet. The only thing I've cut down is Omni deck. I've replaced it with level 1. Sponge balls I didn't do because it didn't have time. Ambitious card, absolutely. Crazy Man's handcuffs, yeah. It's all. The choice is then it becomes work. Okay, the thing becomes work then. I've just got to get around the tables in the time. Yes, I don't want to. No, there's not much in it for me, but there is because I want to see them have a good time. That's a different thing. But for me to do the thing of I want to do the tricks I want to work on, that just doesn't happen. There's no time. Let's accept it. Now that's happening more times than not at the moment, and which is why I think I'll probably move more towards doing just parlour when I can afford to do that. I think that I want to get in that position where I'm on stage just doing parlour, where I can do those routines that have, like I do Venom Cube all the time on stage now. I absolutely love it. My rope routine I love. I used to do in close up. It's good. It's great in close up, but again, if I've got that really limited time, I'm not doing that. I'm going to just hit them with the stuff that works and just accept it's that kind of gig. If you're doing a lot of those kind of gigs, everybody's doing the same stuff. Now, where I live in Sheffield, it's a bit less of a problem than in London because I don't find the thing that I've heard a lot of people getting, everybody seeing the same tricks. So double cross was one that people saying in London, lots and lots of people saying, oh, that happened to me the other day. So in Sheffield, it's a bit different. There's a bit less in the magic world, but I have noticed it a little bit. So I've started cutting it down a bit. What I do is when I do that trick, I just sort of look to see if there's any recognition in the face of the person. If not, I sort of carry on. But it is a bit heartbreaking when you do it and someone said, yeah, that happened to me the other day and you've done it again. You know, it's a bit. So I'm trying, I think a lot of us are trying for many reasons to stop getting bored and sorry, I just done that really annoying thing of reading a message there. Free card money with a kicker ending, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so which brings up a thing. You can find stuff that plays as strongly. So, and I do think one of the reasons is, and I'll hold my hands up there, you know, hold my hands up here, that the reasons why people do the same stuff is laziness, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Cold case looks great, by the way. Laziness, and also, and when I say not a derogatory, obviously being lazy is derogatory, saying someone's lazy, but it is easy to be lazy. It's easy to be safe. It's easy to know, and don't forget, to put ourselves out there and try something that might not work. It's a very, very vulnerable thing to do. It's very vulnerable. That's why our hands shake. That's why all that starts happening, because we're saying to someone, I'm going to show you something amazing. That's a big, you know, I'm not saying you're verbally saying that, but I'm saying that's a really big thing to claim. Even though, you know, as a magician, even when you start doing it, they're like, right, let's see something amazing. So that itself is a big ask. So to then do something, and you're being paid maybe, and you're doing something new, it's so easy just to go, do you know what, I'm just going to play the safe game here. And I do it all the time, right? So it's easy to be lazy, it's easy not to try the new stuff, and that and fear is a big factor there. So that's why we end up doing a lot of the same tricks. I'm not justifying it, it's a reason, not an excuse, and I'm trying really, really hard to really try to put the new stuff in there, and I am putting it in there. Level 1 was a really hard thing for me because I was getting caught on that a few times. You know, I was exposing it a little bit when I was doing the ditch, and so I nearly gave up and thought I can't do it, but I carried on with it, and now it's a big part of my set, and I've learned the timing of it, and And I'm really glad I did, because it really does play strong, and I'm not paid, or I get no affiliation for saying that. So hopefully that answers your question a bit. I think we all need to test ourselves. We all need to try new stuff, but don't beat ourselves up about doing the old stuff as well, because we are there for it, especially if we're being paid. We are there to do a job, and that job requires, I think, a little bit of feeling safe and feeling like we can at least finish with something we know is going to be a kicker routine. So, but yeah, Free Car Monty, all that. There are so many good routines. So thanks very much. Oh, talking about that, risk taking, absolutely, take the risk. People don't mind if you mess up. I messed up a few things the other day, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I did actually. I tried a trick from Tesseract. I was at a table, I did an ambitious card routine, and I said to him, I'm just going to try something really honest. I said, let us know what you think, because I was kind of getting on with them in that way. And I did a trick which is the unexpected visitor, I think it was. It's one of the visitor tricks in Tesseract, and I got caught on it. 4 of them said that was brilliant. And I said, be honest. And one of them said, actually, I saw a thing there. And I said, oh. And then I did put a card under his watch, and that's all he remembered, I think. So, that's a good example of how to do it. I just did the, yesterday and today, I've discovered the calculator app. Someone told me on Messenger, I think it's Nigel Quinn told me, on the Turner watch as well, which is, if you've got a Turner watch, you look at the calculator app, because I didn't look at it for ages, and it's worth looking at. It's kind of a safer way to do it all than the one you do yourself. So thanks very much. So I'm really glad I did this. I didn't think it was going to work. If you're just here, I am in Norway. I saw the Northern Lights 2 days ago. They weren't really kicking off, but they were there. So I'm really, really happy. I'm running 2 days leadership training here. Can you comment on this? Magic is presented as doing is impossible, but there's a mere fact that someone is just doing it. Yes, I can, because thank you. I know I'm not going to go off on another thing. People know it's not. People tend to know it's not real magic. And here's what I'll leave you with. And I'm not saying you're wrong in presenting it as real magic. I've written this down. I was going to say this. Thanks for that's amazing that you said that. It reminded me. If someone genuinely believes in magic, they wouldn't be impressed that you did a magic trick. And I'm saying that, and now I know it kind of sort of makes sense and doesn't. But if you are a mind reader, and you're presenting your mind reading as real mind reading, or as being a psychic, and your audience genuinely believes in psychics and believes psychics are a possibility, and lots of people can read minds, then they're not going to be that impressed with it, are they? Because they believe in it. And that's from Gustav Kuhn, who wrote the Experiencing the Impossible, the book that I reviewed, which is a really good point. If you're seeing something you believe is true without doubt, then it's not going to be impressive. So I genuinely think that people are impressed with magic are impressed because they don't believe in it. That's why they're going, but how? Because we know it didn't happen, but how did you make it happen? And that's magic in itself, I think, is if you're, we live in a world where so many impossible things happen. We live in a world where we can look at our phone and ping a photo to a satellite and back again, so to still take a deck of cards and to still take an elastic band and amaze people with it is an incredible thing. And I think that it works because people don't believe in magic, not because they do. But it's an arguable point. But there you go, live from Tromsø. I'll be here next Monday. I'll maybe do another live before that, but I'm not sure. I've got 2 days here and then I'll go back. Thank you so much. Please, can you do me a favor? Check out my new podcast if you're into the personal development thing. You'll find it at stevefaulkner.com/podcast. Or it's called the Daily Fullcast, F-A-U-L-K, Daily Fullcast. If you go on my Instagram, there's links on my Instagram bio. And do follow me on Instagram. It's Steve Faulkner, just my name, at Steve Faulkner, and that'd be lovely. So, and cardmagiccourse.com, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks a lot. It's been a long one, but it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.